Removing vulgarity, at least in my life, has totally reset my mind about what's acceptable, what's life-giving, what's positive. You know, again, we cannot remove tragedy from our lives. We are going to experience so much tragedy as we live life. That's just the nature of life. We live in a broken world. But we don't have to consume that tragic vulgarity and evil and destruction through our media and social media. Hello everybody and welcome back to my channel. My name is Caitlin and I run the blog called Mrs. Midwest. If this is your first time here, I want to give you a especially warm welcome. Thank you so much for joining us. And to all my returning subscribers and viewers, thank you so much for continuing to support me and this community of feminine women as we grow this YouTube channel and continue to encourage one another. You guys are awesome and I can't get enough of it. This message of femininity resonates with so many people, and if you ever feel isolated, if you ever feel persecuted for your beliefs and your interest in traditional femininity or homemaking or traditional living, I just want you to know you are not alone. There are so many women on every single continent, as I always say, who feel the same way you do. So today's video is all about modern traditional living. How can we achieve a wholesome lifestyle in our modern world? Recently, I have seen an increase in interest in wholesome living. There's this romanticization of the farmhouse and having children, an apron, and a husband and being a homemaker. People are wanting a quieter life. They're wanting a slower lifestyle. I have even found myself dreaming of the farmhouse and living on 10 acres and frolicking through fields with children. It just sounds so peaceful and lovely and grounded. There's just something so wholesome about that quiet farm lifestyle. While I would move to a scene like that in a heartbeat, I think it's important to recognize that it's pretty unrealistic for everybody to pick up from where they are right now and move to a farm and raise children. It's just not possible for everybody to do that. We do have increased opportunities for adventure and chasing our dreams and discovering new things about the world and ourselves. But along with that has come a ripping apart of that social fabric humans used to rely on. And I don't think it comes without consequences. Our postmodern world celebrates a debased lifestyle that isn't grounded in community, and it often feels like it's absolute chaos. We are strained from the competitive nature of education, work, and dating. Consumer culture is stressing everybody out and promising happiness, and there's this constant need and push to make more money so you can buy more things and experiences, and then you'll be happy. And not to mention social media. Social media and entertainment routinely celebrates vulgarity and complete rejection of morality. If I talk about the Kardashians, I'm sure wholesomeness isn't the first thing that comes to mind. But those are the people shaping our identity as a culture and impacting young girls, women of every age, to value that materialistic, debased lifestyle that's not grounded in true structured family, true peace, and true wholesomeness. But is the only remedy moving to a farmhouse, donning an apron, and basically cutting yourself off from the world? Obviously, you know what I'm going to say. No. I think that we can achieve wholesome living irregardless of where we live and what we do. But we need to make strategic changes to live that wholesome life. And that's what this video is going to be about. So what is wholesome living? Is it that farm lifestyle that I've been referencing? Does it mean wearing an apron? Obviously, no. Wholesome living is about a life surrounded and cloaked in peace, free from stress, vulgarity, and knitted in community living. As I always say, we cannot prevent tragedy and pain and corruption and evil from entering our lives. But we must recognize that we can actually step away and prevent a lot of unnecessary pain, tragedy, and frustration in our lives by making strategic choices. And that's what wholesome living is. It isn't this farmhouse in the country necessarily. It's the active pursuit of community and the rejection of vulgarity. It's the removal of competition, busyness, and stress from our daily lives. And in that, it's the immersion into a peaceful, slower life with community and connection. I think wholesome living can bring a lot of joy to our lives. Obviously, it's a life surrounded with community, and that community nurtures your soul, and in turn, you can nurture other people. That strong social fabric that throughout history humans were so used to has all but been lost in parts of the West. With the rise in immigration, prosperity, and education, people are moving everywhere to pursue their dreams. And for all the benefits that brings of meeting people in different countries, I wouldn't have met my husband if I didn't move to a different country for university. But because of that, we aren't grounded in community. And that community has the power to bring so much joy to our lives. And honestly, on a practical sense, a network of support. People to support you when life gets hard, people to support you through life events and to celebrate life with you and to enjoy life with. It is a lie that a happy life is one surrounded by extreme travel experiences or small waists and luxury cars. A true joyful life is one surrounded by community, where you have an identity, a place where people know you and you know them. It's a life-giving thing. I'm still working on this. We are still new to this community and I'm still trying to find my place here. And it's not easy for me. I can be kind of shy. And my husband is very wonderful and good at meeting new people. So I'm trying to grow into that, but I've noticed with every step I make towards community, I feel happier, I feel more fulfilled, and I feel like that's the way we were designed. That's the way we were intended to be. We were intended to live in community with others, and that is the grounding for wholesome living. Community living allows us to explore different parts of ourselves. It gives us the responsibility to be part of something greater than ourselves, and ultimately to separate us from that individualistic living that's not conducive to a wholesome lifestyle. Secondly, the removal of vulgarity in our lives has the power to completely purify and bless our hearts and mind. I think it can be so easy to get used to vulgarity. You can see a rise in acceptance in the over-sexualization of women in social media. A Kylie Jenner naked photo, no one bats an eye at that. We're all used to it. We're all used to that level of nudity and vulgarity. And we're used to seeing images of sex and swearing and violence and evil and perversion. And I think that doesn't come without its consequences. Like I spoke about last week in my video about guarding your mind, it's essential that we protect our minds and treat them like a very special castle and something to be protected. Everything you view informs you of what's important. It informs you about the way the world works. And it's important to realize that we can't consume that vulgar media without consequences. Removing vulgarity, at least in my life, has totally reset my mind about what's acceptable, what's life-giving, what's positive. Again, we cannot remove tragedy from our lives. We are going to experience so much tragedy as we live life. That's just the nature of life. We live in a broken world. But we don't have to consume that tragic vulgarity and evil and destruction through our media and social media. Again, a very good rule of thumb for this is if something makes you feel sick on the inside or like you should not be looking at it, remove it. When your body tells you, I shouldn't be looking at this, that's your mind and heart trying to protect you, because your mind and heart instinctually know that experiencing vulgarity and viewing evil and brokenness when you don't have to can honestly be traumatic and increase that overall stress in your life, increase unhappiness, and increase an overall discontent with your own life. As you move into wholesome living, consider your social media use and your entertainment. I've talked about this a few times, but that's a huge area where we can remove a lot of vulgarity and re-enter almost into that childlike spirit of wholesomeness. I don't think we need to consume as much entertainment as we do, but when we do consume that entertainment, when we interact with the things of this world, it's important to remember that those things have an effect on us. So if you approach every interaction with social media and entertainment with that in mind, you can begin removing and purging a lot of that vulgarity from your life. Stress decreases life expectancy, but it also decreases happiness. And so if you are a person cut out for a stressful, competitive environment and you thrive in that, wonderful. I don't thrive in that environment. I avoid competition and stress. And because of that, I've noticed that I've been able to be much more peaceful in my life. I'm not saying that we shouldn't try at work and at what we put our mind to. I think we should always try our best, but we should not let that stress consume us. We should not let that competition define us. A life free from stress is probably what you think of when you think of that farmhouse style life, but I think it can be achieved no matter where you live. You just need to approach life working your hardest and your best at the things you've been gifted with, but not letting it consume you, not letting it stress you out, not carrying that home with you all the time. It's about remembering that life is so much more than work and competition and success. How much competition and stress can be removed from our lives simply by pursuing the eternal over the material. We must remain tied to the fact that our work should not consume us. Competition should not consume us. We don't have to completely remove ourselves from those environments, but we must approach them with a balanced mindset. As we encounter life, so many of us will encounter health problems or financial problems or even losing a job, and we cannot tie ourselves into those identities so strongly that when we lose those things, it feels like we lose a part of ourselves. It's important to recognize that life is more about the long-term things you can take with you no matter what happens to you. And those hobbies and skills you can grow, those relationships, that personal growth, and honestly your religion can all be part of you that you can take with you no matter what happens to you in life, no matter what you lose or what happens to you. You will always be able to bring those things with you. Wholesome living is a life lived for the long term. It's strategic and family-centric. And when you make your decisions focused on family and not for the individual, it can be so much easier to find that individual happiness. And again, we are going to encounter so many things outside of our control in life that will cause us severe unhappiness. So it's important to not add to that. It's important to recognize that your social media use impacts your happiness. It impacts your ability to interact with the world and to find joy. There's so much inappropriate things out there, and I think we believe, oh, I'm not a child anymore, so I can consume all this R-rated stuff and nudity and stress, and I can date whoever I want and live this stressful life. But the thing is, we have children in that protective sphere because we know how it can nurture their souls. It nurtures a child's soul to be free from that stress, that vulgarity, and to be knitted into a family. And that doesn't change when we grow up. It doesn't. We still have that childlike soul where we need to be knitted into a community or family, where we need to be free from vulgarity and perversion, and ultimately to be free from that level of stress and competition if it's not conducive to your happiness. I'm not saying we need to act as if we are adult children that never want to grow up, but I think that there is so much wisdom in the way that people try to protect a child's heart from the hardship of this world. We don't always have the power to conjure up a husband and 3 children and move to a farmhouse, but we do have the power to turn away from vulgarity, to insert ourselves in community, and to step away from stress. In total, thank you so much for watching this video. If you liked the video, please click the like button, and if you haven't yet, it would be wonderful if you would subscribe and click the notification bell so you never miss a new video. If you're interested to see what I do on a daily basis, please feel free to follow me on Instagram. And if you're interested in more of this content, check out my written blog. In total, I hope you have a wonderfully blessed and feminine day.